What is up, you guys? Welcome, or I should say, welcome back to another episode on the I Don't Have a Name for This podcast. My voice is a little shot, so bear with me. I just felt really called to do this, to have this moment be the moment I record the podcast, regardless of the state of my voice, because it's been a long time coming. And depending on where you're watching or hearing this at, you'll be able to see my little setup. I have literally intuitively downloaded the messages for you guys today that I want to deliver, and I hope you receive. I don't know if I meant to end that way, but that's how I ended it. So right now I'm trying something new today with my podcast. I'm actually incorporating some sound bowls, and I'm hoping that while you're listening to this episode, you're able to get some of this healing frequency while listening to my messages. I think that'd be super cool. So I might continue to do this going forward with my podcast. But enough of the intro. How are you doing? No, like really, how are you? And I say that really because the first answer is usually not the truth. The first answer is usually what we have been conditioned to say or think that people want to hear. And so when people ask us, how are we doing? We assume they don't really care. And sometimes that's true, but I'm asking you because I do care and I want to know how you're doing. So take a moment to feel whatever that is that you're feeling and hold space for that. Okay, cool. Definitely don't want to turn this into a meditation session, but I did want to hold space for how you're feeling wherever you're at while you're listening to this podcast, because I'm almost sure most of the times we can use that extra space. So if I can give you 10 seconds to hold on to that and feel that, then I'm going to do that. But yeah, so I have been MIA. I dropped a passion project and I fell off the grid, which is not unlike me, except this time I didn't foresee it coming. Normally I know my hiatus is about to come on, and I take them very frequently and very unapologetically, but this hiatus I did not see coming, and it was because it was right before my birthday, so I could have never imagined not wanting to pour into my passion project. Like week 2 was my birthday, or the second episode was supposed to be coming out on my birthday weekend. So the fact that we're almost a month later, today is July 31st. It is, what time is it? It is 6:50 p.m. on Pacific Standard Time here on the West Coast. So wherever you're listening to this is the time for you to hear this message. And I'm kind of glad that I did take my unanticipated hiatus, because everything happens for a reason. And if you know me, you know I believe that, everything is happening for my greatest good. So I don't feel like I would have been able to be as helpful to anybody in delivering any messages or give any gems or, give a well-received podcast episode if I'm not in the right space myself. And I wasn't 4 weeks ago. I was not. The Roe v. Wade decision in the Supreme Court had just been reversed, and it was such a heavy time period for me, and I didn't know how to express what I was feeling and how to process my emotions. And so as always, the first thing that happens is I back away from like my creative outlets. And this time was a little different because I did consider, potentially coming out with a podcast episode, but it just didn't feel right. So I didn't. And 1 week passed by, 2 weeks passed by. Before you know it, we're at the end of July, and we're now just for the first time recording episode 2 of I Don't Have a Name for This Podcast. And I'm just appreciative for it all. And sometimes, in the eye of the storm, it's hard to see the why. And I guess that's why they say hindsight is 2020, huh? Because you're then able to look back and say, I'm so grateful for the way that things happened, and in the way which things happened, and the time of which things happened, because there couldn't have been a better time, a better time for me to hit reset right before I really went hard on my podcast was right before taking off, And I say that because we're manifesting that. Like, listen, I am going to be your fave's fave, period. Your faves are going to listen to me. And y'all gonna remember, like, these moments when you're like, Kristen, remember you used to say, yes, I remember, dear, because I knew it. I know it. My higher self knows it. And that's why we're here, because, I want every episode to be intentional and to be well received. And an episode, I want it to be recorded in the energy that it needs to be recorded in. That's now. So that leads me to actually what this episode would have been about 4 weeks ago, which is my solar return. Yes, you guys, I turned 28 4 weeks ago. It's officially been 4 weeks of me being 28 years old, and let me tell you, nothing feels different. Age-wise, time-wise. I mean, I'm still getting carded at the bars, so it's pretty much the same, but oh man, like, just putting a cap to a solar return, like, that whole entire year that just passed by, that whole 27, like, oh, wow, was that a heavy year. And I think I say this every couple of years. I'm like, yeah, this is the craziest year of my life. And I think that 27 for sure got it. Like, you got it. Like, it's not to the point where, like, I wouldn't go back and do it again, but it's more so coming from a space of where, like, yeah, no, that year definitely kicked my ass, but I learned so much, and there was so many lessons that I learned for 27 that I could have never seen at the time, when I was in the eye of the storm. And that brings me to the biggest, like, reflection that I had, just thinking about 27 and everything that I've done and where I'm at and what it means to me now. And it dawned on me that, like, when they say so and so ran so that XYZ could crawl. Well, 2018 Kristen ran so that 2021 Kristen could crawl, because in 2018, as you may know, if you know me, and if you don't, that's okay. I went on a study abroad program with my school. It was about 6 to 7 or 7 to 8 weeks in Dakar, Senegal. And that was one of the toughest time periods of my life. It was the first time me being out the country without my family or friends. I went on the study abroad program. I really didn't know anybody there. I met the girls from my school right before we went, and we became really tight out there. But I went out there. It was just me, Gamora. Gamora's my my stuffed teddy bear, my stuffed kitty cat. A lot of you guys don't know that Gamora is my baby, because my baby sister gifted her to me as a Mother's Day gift 1 year, and I've never let that little kitty cat go. So that's why I'm so attached. And you guys are like, your 28-year-old ass hugging onto a teddy bear. Yes, ma'am. healing my inner child, period. Which was the theme for 27, but we'll get into that. So back to 2018, Kristen, when I landed in Africa with no bags because I literally forgot there was a vaccine that I had to take orally. I don't remember the vaccine's name, but there was a vaccine that I had to take orally to not like get infected or like to not get any diseases out there that I wasn't accustomed to going to a new country. And literally made it to the airport with like 30 minutes to spare for checking in bags, and then I had to turn back around. But now that I think back on it, I'm like, why did we not check in my bags? But hindsight is 2020. Hindsight is 2020. Yeah, so we turn back around, go to Harlem, come back to JFK, and literally the gate closes as I'm online. Like not the gate, the underpass for the airplane. They're like, yeah, we're done checking in bags 1 minute ago. And I'm like, are you serious? I'm going to Africa. Please just honor this. And the lady was like, yeah, no. So I landed in Africa with just my carry-on. And inside my carry-on, I had Gamora, my charger, a journal, and that's about it. I don't even think I had a spare. I didn't have a spare pair of underwear, actually, because that was like my first mental breakdown in Africa. Was like I was 3 days in wearing the same underwear, and at night I would just like hand wash them. But I was begging people in the program to take me to the mall. I'm like, please take me to the mall. I just want underwear. Like, I want underwear and a fucking toothbrush. And they were like, yeah, we'll take you. And the whole day I'm like, still haven't gone. So one night we made it back to our dorms really late. And so we would wake up like at 6 a.m. And if we were making it back to the dorm at 11, that's not enough time for my panty to dry. So, boy, I woke up the next morning, my panty was wet. And it wasn't wet, it was damp in like certain areas. Most of it had dried, not really most of it, but like 50% of it had dried and 50% of it was still damp. And in this moment, I wanted to go home so bad. I called my mom. I told her, send me a one-way flight home now. I'm leaving. I don't want to wait anymore. I've waited like 3-4 days at this point. And they don't care. And that's how I perceived it at the time. And I was so upset, and I literally still had no bags, and my mom was supposed to be mailing me my bags over the weekend, which meant a whole week without anything. And I don't care to wear the same clothes. I'm good off that. Like, and honestly, the girls that I landed with, they were so helpful. They were so sweet. Even the girls that I didn't know, they were like from different schools, like Howard University. They lent me like leggings and t-shirts and stuff like that. And even somebody in the program, she bought me like extra clothes to wear for the week. But like, this was after I blew up. You feel me? Like, I had to get to the point where I was like, I'm going home. And I called my mom, and my mom spoke to the director, was like, yo, how do we get my daughter back? And then they were like, what's going on? I'm like, I've been telling you guys. Anyways, the point of the story is, when I landed in Africa, I landed with nothing, literally nothing. Just me, myself, and I. There was this huge time difference. I think it was 4 hours of a time difference between Dakar and New York City, and I was 4 hours ahead, and so it was really difficult. Like, I would be ending my day, and my mom would be in the middle of her day, and my friends, and I just felt so alone in that time. And obviously, like I said, hindsight is 2020, and I understand all the lessons now that I had to learn from there. But Africa basically prepared me for, and I shouldn't say Africa, I should say Dakar. Dakar prepared me for what life would feel like in Cali. I'm literally 4,000 miles away from home. There's a 3-hour time difference. All my family and friends are on the East Coast, and I'm on the West Coast, and I'm out here chasing my dreams. The same thing I was doing in Africa. I wanted to travel, so I went to study abroad and chased that dream. At that time, now it's law school here in Cali, and it literally just prepared me for what I would be experiencing in Cali. And not to say like I don't have underwear here in Cali, because obviously I do, and I have toothbrush and toothpaste, thank God. But it was a crash course of being removed from everything I knew and had, and just stripped down to my underwear, literally, and learning how to appreciate and make the most of just what I had. And that's literally like the biggest lesson that I took away from Africa. And there was a moment in the beginning of this year where I was sitting down talking to myself like, wow, I ran in Africa so that I could crawl in Cali. And yeah, I think that that's so dope to be able to have that perspective now and really appreciate. Because now, I mean, after the trip, once I came back, I appreciated it so much. But I feel like every year whenever I reflect on it, there's something new to appreciate about it. And to see that it prepared me for, what's now the most difficult, most challenging moment of my life is so beautiful. Like, that's so fucking dope. Like, and I say that to say this. It's really hard when you're in the eye of the storm. So hard to keep your eyes on the prize and remember what you're doing this for and why you're here and why you're going through whatever you're going through, and being able to see it from a perspective of this is happening for me. And I still have trouble with this from time to time, but I'm saying that to say this, like, even me, like in 2018, I couldn't tell you why I was in Africa with not a single thing I owned, but nothing, and just like literally crying every night for the first week until my bags got there, though, like literally hours before my birthday. It wasn't even before my birthday, I'm sorry. It was July 2nd, and my bags got there at 3 a.m. in the morning, and we went to the airport to get my bags. And you know what's the funniest thing? I literally packed that bag with every single thing I could possibly need, or I thought that I needed. And now that I'm saying it out loud, I'm like, wow, I actually survived a whole week without any of that stuff. Yeah, there was some moments where it got really low. Definitely wearing damp underwear was low for me, because in that moment I just felt so unseen, unheard, and so uncomfortable. But I needed to feel that. I needed to go through all of that so that I would be prepared for Cali, and so that Cali literally it seems like another piece of the puzzle, and it's just fitting in so perfectly. And it's hard, and I'm telling you, it's hard. In the moment, it's hard, because I had moments in my second semester of law school where I was like, I am not gonna see this one through, my boy. I'm not gonna see this through. Like, I can't. Ain't no fucking way. But I did, and I'm literally at the top of the 9th inning right now in my summer. Like, school starts back up in like 20 something days, and I have learned so much, so much, and I'll probably get a deep dive into it in another episode, but I don't want to keep this one too long. I just wanted to channel that message of, sometimes in the eye of the storm, you cannot understand why you're even in the storm at all, even though the eye is the safest place, right? And you're very safe, and you're very supported by the universe, by your spirit team, by your ancestors, by your angels, by your family, by your prayers, by your friends' prayers. You're very supported, but you don't feel that way. And all you can think of when you're in the eye of the storm is not that you're safe, is that, why am I even going through this? Why is this storm happening to me? And I just want to offer a little shift in perspective, and trying to, when you catch yourself in that loop, just try to figure out, how is this happening for me, and not to me, And if you're able to find just one thing, that is amazing. And sometimes when you sit there and you sit with that thought and you constantly revisit it and you just give yourself the space to feel, why is this happening for me, or how is this happening for me instead of to me, you'll find that there's a lot of clarity in those spaces. And so with that, I'm going to leave you guys. I hope you really enjoyed this episode. And if you did, make sure you give me a review. Give me 5 stars wherever you're listening to this at. Give me a thumbs up. And make sure you subscribe and come back for more. Love you.